So they will be calling it quits. So apparently, Cardi and Offset, after years of marriage, have decided to file. Cardi has decided to file for a divorce in the Fulton County area of Georgia. Now, if you recall, these two took us on the most amazing house buying tour, where they finally settled on a manse in the Atlanta area. Now, I think that the interesting thing is that he was caught previously cheating, and they did not break up. Now, Cardi is admitted to doing her own dirt and to this not being a play on this not being like some sort of publicity stunt or something. She's saying that, you know what, I want to be free. And so therefore, divorce is the only option for me. So we'll see what happens. Congratulations to Cardi and Mr. Set. Off with his head. Now this comes off of Cardi also getting ready to drop her album, and her single WAP still remains at the number one position in the country. So I don't know. She is telling the world, don't feel bad for her, but divorces are always I think it's always a bittersweet occurrence. Like, I'm not about to throw her like a divorce party like Phaedra did for like Kenya did for Phaedra. Like, I'm not gonna do that. But what do you guys think of Nene not coming back to Real Housewives? So she took to Instagram this week to drop her iOS statement, which pretty much in part, she said, after much negotiation, I have decided to leave the Real Housewives for this season. So it is my understanding that the Housewives of Atlanta is dawning upon its finale soon, right? I don't know when that's going to happen, but apparently due to happen soon. I don't know if this is the last season or if next season will be, or the season after that, and not this, you know what I mean. Will you still tune in to Real Housewives of Atlanta if there's no Nene? I think it'll be interesting to see. We've had years where there is no Portia, no Phaedra, no Candy's actually the only one who's been on every year to collect that. Candy is greedy. If there's a check out there to be had, Candy, if there's a ribbon cutting ceremony and a check to be had, Candy will be there. Good on you, girl. But it'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of these housewives, the Housewives franchise has had a lot of their key players cycle out, and some of it has not been all that terrible. Like Lisa Vanderpump leaving Housewives of Beverly Hills has been interesting. I don't necessarily know that I love Garcelle as an addition, which I also know I'm not going to love her as an addition to The Talk. Is that the name of, what is the name of the show with Lonnie Love and Tia Tamara and Young Jeezy's woman and Adrienne Bailon? Is it The Talk? It's not The View. This is our time. That show. The Real. Why are all these? Okay. The View, The Talk, The Real, The This, The That. Like, oh, we can't get a little bit more creative, huh? Okay. But Garcelle Beauvais is to be taking Amanda Seales' spot on The Real, which I'm also not interested in seeing that. But we were talking about the Housewives franchise and how when the key players kind of cycle out, what happens. Even in New York, to have Bethany Frankel leave the show I don't think it really like hurt it too much in the grand scheme of things. I think there were other people who left that like it probably meant a little bit more. We've had seasons where Phaedra is an epic reader. So to have her not be on Housewives of Atlanta is a big deal. Well, many of the Housewives franchisees and fellow castmates reached out to Nene to express their love and gratitude for her being a pioneer in this reality game, which, let's be real, Lenithia Leaks is legendary in the reality world. Okay. Fix That Body, Fix That Face will always be one of the just so nasty, so rude. But yes, that is what is happening there. Okay, so can we talk about your boy Kanye West? So what do you guys feel about him wanting to go back and get Taylor Swift's masters for her? Because he is friends with Scooter Braun, so he can talk to Scooter and get Taylor's masters back for her. But can he get Tiana Taylor's masters back from himself to give to her? So this week between Kanye West and, honestly, it has been weeks of hearing black men between Kanye West and Joe Budden who are all fighting for their proverbial freedoms in their respective genres. Kanye talking much about his masters and wanting to get those back, and the contract that he had with Def Jam, and being a slave, and whenever artists have issues about their masters or contractual obligations and talk, you often will hear them hearkening on the memory of like Prince and Michael Jackson and talking about those two and aligning themselves with those two because of the fight, where really I think a lot of times from the outside looking in, those fights often seem like not race fights, but money fights, and money fights that have nothing to do with us. So Kanye posted several rants, one including talking about his daughter North and saying if they try to kill him, North, just know that I was a freedom fighter. Listen, I think that it's interesting I don't think that his fight is wrong. I think that it definitely seems to be on a different level of fighting. Like, it definitely seems to be like perhaps a fight that we, John Q. Public, would never understand. Like, why would he be fighting over something as menial? He's rich already. But, I think when you talk about the money and the power, it's a different fight that he's having, But I think the interesting thing with Kanye is there are artists on good music who would perhaps feel the same, like I'm sure Tiana Taylor has something to say about her masters and about her freedoms and about what is owed to her. I'm sure Sci-Hi the Prince has something to say about masters and what is owed. I'm sure even, who's the kid that sings Panda Panda? I'm sure even he has something to say about masters and contractual obligations. So it's just hypocritical to me, and I'm not, pandering to the black community when you want us to come and fight the good fight for you, because this is a fight that you cannot win on your own. is, it's nasty. It's nasty. You know, now I think the difference between him and hearing the Joe Budden rant about podcasting, I think if you understand anything about podcasting, for instance, there are ads that I run in my show. A pre-roll, which is what you refer to a commercial that you drop before the show actually comes on, and a mid-roll, which is a commercial that you would drop in the middle of the show, right? Now, from a monetary standpoint, those two mean something completely different. But Anchor profits off of those two way more than I do. And the fight that he's saying is we can't allow them to be dropping these commercials in our shows and not giving us our just due. And we're doing it for a product that we don't even care too much about. So I totally understand where Joe is coming from. But, you know, I think that the way that he's doing it, like, could you imagine, like, going into work and being like, fuck my job, y'all are some fucking ass, and doing that so that the world could hear? You know, like, it's not so much what you're saying, but it's the way that you're fighting that makes it problematic and probably perhaps less palatable. And also the fact that he keeps bringing Crystal up is super weird. It's super weird and it's obsessive. It's almost like he wants her to like him. You know that vibe? You know that vibe when you want someone to like you and they won't. So you just like, you just basically keep fighting with them, so to speak. Also in the news this week, Lori Loughlin. Did you guys see this? So Lori Loughlin is okay. Now remember, she got caught up in that whole college admissions scandal, right? Well, according to court documents, the Fuller House star will be designated to a facility closest to her home in California. See, a judge has signed off on Lori's request to serve her prison sentence at the Federal Correction Institution of her choice. Now, according to an order filed on September 9th, Judge Nathaniel M. Gorton signed off on the actress's request to serve her time at a medium security prison. Now, while the Bureau of Prisons will have final approval on her request, federal prison records show that the 56-year-old already has registration number assigned to her. She is ordered to surrender to the facility no later than 2 p.m. on November 19th. Now, the Victorville facility has a low-security prison camp of 300 inmates where Loughlin will serve her time. Now, everybody had something to say about this, obviously, because what kind of criminal gets to choose the facility that they would like to serve their prison sentence out of? Well, I'll tell you, a white woman criminal gets to, a famous white woman criminal, a wealthy white woman criminal, but hold, because I don't think that this is necessarily a thing about her being rich or a thing about her being a woman. I think it's definitely a thing about her being white and that privilege kind of carrying over to the fact that, like, she gets to, it's really crazy. We're living in a world where, you know, we are being shown on television all the time that black people can't get away with anything. And the narrative is that white people can, in fact, commit crimes and get away with anything. That is the narrative that we are being served. And because of that, we are having a hard time really digesting all of that. Someone who had a difficult time digesting it is